Hi, Rick Harsh here, BookTube. What I'm going to do today is critique the critiquer, criticize the criticizer. I'm going to nail the motherfucker who wrote Assume a Position, Considerations, and Interviews. And that man is Jeff Bursey, one of our favorite authors. Interestingly, Bursey's first novel published with us, Unidentified Man at Left of Photo, is similar to a book that we have coming up by Chase Griffin in January, we hope. That's just a sideline. And the reason for digressions such as that is because, in my case, is because I have no fucking idea what I'm going to say about this book. I mean, the thing is, with critics, the good ones, and this is a great one, they tend to read a book, take notes, and present an orderly description of the book. And in that they make comparisons that they've well thought out, and they put it in a context that they've examined. And I I don't do that for anything, except sometimes when I'm cooking, I plan what I'm going to buy, what ingredients I'm going to use. But in terms of booktubes, I just, I don't know, I pick up a book and think, well, what did I think of that? Well, the first irony here is that this relatively unknown author, Jeff Bursey, he should be very well known because he's certainly one of Canada's top writers. We have no business publishing him. He should be making a living with his novels and his short stories and his criticism. I don't know if he's getting bigger in Canada or not, but I'm happy to have him. Well, okay, about this book. The first problem is I don't read books of criticism very often. And when I do, I like to dip in and dip out. Do you dip out when you dip in? I don't know. But I like to go in and out, read randomly. I look at a chapter. Oh, Félix Fénéon, Novels in 3 Lines. Oh, Harry Matthews, My Life in the CIA. I've long been curious about Harry Matthews. But then I would maybe overlook Lance Olson, Marek Waldorf, Rosa Lixum, I know. So, not sure how I ended up with one of her books, but I read it and liked it a lot. I believe she's Estonian. Did I get that right? Did I remember that right? Anyway, the point is that reading it through in order to do a review is not normal for me. But it makes the reviewing easier. Because it is divided into parts. There's writing on writing, which I really enjoyed because he's talking about critics that have different tendencies from his. And then he ends up with a fantastic... does he end up with that? Well, there is a fantastic stretch on Stephen Moore, who actually made, if not a living, made a name for himself by publishing obscure writers. By critiquing obscure writers, and that is something that Bursey is doing, a favor for people like him, in a sense. But obviously, he has a passion for literature, and he knows that literature that we've all heard of is just the tip of the iceberg. So the writing on writing section was fantastic for me, fascinating, and that I could read straight through and would normally. The second one is fiction and nonfiction reviews, and there are, I don't know, looks like about 15 authors. I have heard of Harold Jaffe, but I know nothing about him. Larry Foundation, Harry Mulish, but I knew nothing about him, and Rosa Lixom. That's it. There are writers like Michelle T., Josephine Klugar, Jose Eduardo Agualusa, and because this is a booktube, all I can tell you is that each one of these was interesting, and although he didn't love all the books, he found them worth attention and did a terrific job of giving me the feeling that I know whether I want to buy the book or not. Another problem with these reviews is you know, and Moore gets this a lot, is you buy my back pages and you end up, you know, going broke. In this case, that could also happen. His section 3, no, part of section 2, that was sharp edge. This is light touch, and I could say the same thing about it. I know of Harry Matthews, haven't read him. And then he goes to expansive, and that's okay. So there are 3 parts to the book: writing on writing, fiction and nonfiction reviews in several sections, and then interviews, which is fun. Interviews are usually fun, and one is with S.D. Krostowska, who's a very well-known Canadian writer. Something about an eye? I can't remember now. Anyway, Story of the Eye, or is that Bataille? I would go with Krostowska. Bataille is too mathematic for me. So the third section is expansive, and this is where me and Mr. Bursey immediately depart ways. No, we part ways, but I depart from the book. I say no, Mr. Bursey, because it opens with Karl Ove Knausgaard, My Struggle, Book 4. And he very much likes Karl Ove Knausgaard, Book 4. And I don't like it. Now, the thing is, if Bursey were here, he would present his argument, and I would sit here and say, oh, bullshit. Oh, no. Wrong. And hopefully he wouldn't say, have you actually read it, Rick? Well, I haven't. I don't like the Karl Ove phenomenon. And it just something bothers me about Karl Ove. Probably because you call him Karl Ove. And I think what it really comes down to is, you know, we need more translations. Translators are paid too little, and so on. But occasionally, a translated book becomes a phenomenon. And in this case, it's Karl Ove's My Struggle books 1 through 6, his 4-season bullshit, and you know. So I just don't trust those things. Elena Ferrante, if enough people tell me, yeah, it's really good, maybe. Karl Ove, I don't know. Not until he shaves his head. Then I'll you know, because he's got perfect Scandinavian hair up there. And see my booktube on Karl Ove's hair, and I think you'll start to agree with me. This is a phenomenon, and you know, and it leads to old thoughts about, like, for instance, when Hillary fucking Clinton got $7 million in advance for writing a book right after the Clinton presidency ended, And I thought, what? Well, she doesn't need that money, and you know, you could give her anything, and she wants to write the fucking book. It's gonna sell. So save that 7 million, give her 1 million, then you get 6 million, and maybe spend 20,000 on literary writers who can't get published. But you know that's utopian thought and bad Ricky. Uh, so it's the same with Karl Ove with his hair up there. Karl Ove gets a shitload of money, and people like Joao Hayes, who, by the way, was had his book spotted at an independent bookstore in Los Angeles yesterday. So maybe his third book is going to be distributed better than I distribute books and marketed better than I market books. The Devastation of Silence, I think is the name of it. Maybe it's the silence after devastation. But I talked to Joao recently, and I think he'd be surprised that his book is at an independent bookstore in Los Angeles because he hadn't received it himself. He promised to send me a copy. I was going to buy it. He said he would send it. I thought, okay, I'll take it. And so I gave him a little shit for not sending it. And he said, I don't have it yet. Now, here's a guy who, by coincidence, translates Scandinavian novels, but also writes his own. He's written 6 novels. All 6 have been published. This latest one is the 3rd. We have Bedraggling Grandma with Russian Snow, which is not selling nearly as well as I thought it would. Chris Villa did a great review on that and his first book, The Translator's Bride. This is a guy who deserves 1/100th of what Karl Ove makes, and it would change his life. And so this is one of the reasons that all of that disgusts me. So let's get off Jeff Bursey's back and say that he's neutral, objective. Nah, nobody. He's subjective for sure, but we'll leave him alone. So the next section of books is Canadiana, and there's looks like 8, 7, 8. The Eyelid. That's the Krostowska novel. 8 authors. One of them is Tim Connolly, a short story book called Collapsible. We have a book by Tim Connolly coming out as soon as it's ready. The printer's ready. The book is ready. The cover has to be sized. And I think, I thought it would be out a month ago. We're publishing also a new author, Ben Lieberman, a really, really fine novel called Filthy Synecdoche. Very well-written novel. How much time do I got left? So the next one is Fantasies and Realism, starting with Olga Tokarczuk. We all know her. But there's also Anne Finger. I like that. Thomas Glavine, so maybe not the pitcher from the Atlanta Braves. And I can say the same thing about all of these. They're all. They're grouped as they're grouped for reasons, but same. Then you got the interviews. That's my review, and it's nearly 15 minutes right now. Stephen Moore was one of the first people to buy Bursey. In fact, I think he asked me to let him know when it was out. So Bursey is a respected and highly regarded person among those who have heard of him. And more people are hearing of Unidentified Man. I think this I mean, he's not writing this for money. If he is, he's a bad investor because people don't make much money in the literary world in general. And if they're published by Corona Samizdat, it means that they like some of my ideas, and the fact that they're free as a writer can be within my press. But I'm not great at marketing, and if I were, Joao Reis might be a literary hero right now, playing backgammon with Karl Ove, fixing each other's hair up there. So anyway, and also Jeff Bursey, but I've left a photo. Eventually, see, the one thing I try to tell our writers is that we'll keep you in print as long as we're in existence. You will remain in print, because it may take 3 years before people catch on to your book, and then you'll become better known. That's the case with most of the books, except for the few that just never sell. Yeah, some of mine. It's odd that it even happened. This pyramid business. It even happens within your own oeuvre. My Eddie Vegas, The Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas, sold pretty well for us, and now it's at 0 gram, and I think it's doing okay. But other books, almost all of them are underperforming. I really thought this one would go, the latest one I finished. I know it's only 67 pages, but it's really good. And I don't just say so myself. I've been told. So, what is it about this book, that lacks interest? Are people not interested in India anymore? Because none of my India books, I have 3 India books, 1 memoir and 2 novels, and they don't sell. Orbo is underperforming, and this is a writer who's going to be well known, Luke Dellon of England, and it's got a great cover, eyeball, without a lid. So Krostowska could, maybe write, "Where's the lid?" next. But that's just the book business, and I'm clichéing my own horn here because it is important that people like Zach Tanner can break into the literary world. And now he's a success story. Other than Cactus Boots, right now the biggest sellers are Robert Stickley with Abandoned Security and Zach Tanner with this fantastic novella, Some Features of Living Matter in the Neighborhood of the Sun, and with beautiful artwork. We have great printers and cover people, Zach Tanner being the main one. But let's see, what's his other book here? We know what it is. It's Oscar Submerges, but it's way out of my reach. Oh my God! Yeah, with the 2 covers. That was the original cover, and this is the latest cover, and it's selling very well. But go try to find an agent, Zach. Go try to sell your books to fucking New York. It's all wrong. And then here, we have a couple guys. I'll show you 2 of them. David Vardaman, Angel of Sodom, and Damon Roy. These are 2 people. They're about the same age. They've been writing for maybe the same amount of time. They've been writing superb fiction for decades, and are not getting the attention they deserve, but they are now published, and they're getting some attention. We've got Idjit in Chief promoting this book, which is nice, and a lot of people have liked this. Chris Robinson is one, but a lot of people have, and people are looking forward to the next Vardaman. I hope people are looking forward to the next Patland, because both are scheduled for January. We might not make it because of the money that I have to pay a bookkeeper, not a bookie, or maybe a bookie. I don't know what she does in her spare time, but it's very important that people like Jeff Bursey scour the literary world for the putative dregs, where you find extraordinary works like this. And then you have people like Chandler Broussard, who gets his ass kicked out of New York and the literary world as soon as he transcends it. We have two of his early books, The Wolf Leaps, and this one, which is not selling very well, although it is worth more than the money, The Double Dealers. These are early, mid Broussard, and they're really good, but they are not as great as the later books. We have three of them: Raging Joys, Sublime Violations, his Vietnam book where Henry Kissinger eats babies, or maybe that was just my idea for the cover. And we have in Reach, we have As the Wolf Howls at My Door, with that terrific first sentence, which I shall reread because I like it so much. This was dedicated to Stephen Moore, who failed to make Broussard as highly regarded as he should be. But I'd say, that's Zach Tanner has great introductions to these books. This book Kills Fascists is the title of this one. Okay, Man Cannot Live by Equivocations Alone. What an opening. And wild. I just happened to read his other big one is out of my reach right now. It's Wake Up, We're Almost There. And there it is. It's holding up the phone. It's right behind you. So anyway, I just tapped. I think I was getting it. Why was I getting it out? I don't know. Oh yeah, I'm taking it to a book event tonight. So I took one out and I just happened to open it, and I was reminded of the brilliance of it, and the need to reread it. I haven't read As the Wolf Howls at My Door because I'm waiting for when I really need it. But now it's been so long, I think I need to not need it and just read it. So that's I hope you see the thread here that appreciates Mr. Bursey for what he does. And if I could find his book in my reach, I would show it to you, one of his books. Damn, I move them around so much. I got, little shelf room, but, I move things, and, well, now I'm moving more. But I don't, here it is. Yeah, I moved it closer. Unidentified Man at Left of Photo, which already is hilarious. The llamas all looking off to the left of the photo. And... also, it's in Canada, the land of the llama. Alpacas, you're thinking alpacas, Lapland. Well, this is a book that's not a book. A guy named Joe, beneficiary of an inheritance, landed in Charlottetown, PA, Prince Edward Island, in the late winter of maybe 2016. I mean, whatever. And he could have been placed anywhere, but there's not a lot of fiction set in pay, and the marketing niche might help. The book goes on that way, and it it it's the writing itself is quietly brilliant or sneakily brilliant, because there are moments. I mean, that part, when you do it right, the comedy is constant, and also the insight into writing and what to think about literature. But there are moments when you're examining a book like this a little bit more than you examine others, because it's violating all the rules, and you want to, if you're like me, you're cheering it on and saying, don't fuck it up, don't fuck it up. There was one point in here where I thought, you're going to fuck it up. And then he didn't, and went on to the best, my favorite section of the book. I won't spoil it because I don't remember where it was, but and it ends like a hurricane. Fantastic book, and Bursey would have reviewed it, I think, if he hadn't written it himself. It's just the kind of book that would end up in Assume a Position. So I'm selling it, and it might seem self-serving if I ask you to buy it. So I'll tell you to buy it. Buy the book, Assume a Position. Learn some new authors. Unfortunately, few of them, if any, are being published by us, but we are also publishing people who would fit into a Bursey book of criticism. Maybe Bursey will write a full book of criticism about Corona Samizdat authors someday. Hear that, Jeff? Jeff! Paying attention, Jeff? You never know if Jeff's paying attention. He's a sneaky guy. Anyway, this is 27 minutes, and I know you like it to be 30, but I'm hungry. I've got an event tonight. I might shave, but I've got hair up there, like Karl Ove, and I won't touch my hair.